All right, how did Jalen Hurts and the rest of the team grade out? Grayson's Grades are brought to you by Cross County Connection, the region's transportation management association, dedicated to improving the quality of life in South Jersey through transportation solutions. Learn more about Cross County Connection online at driveless.com. Scott Grayson from 97.3 ESPN.com and Fox 29's Props and Locks. He joins us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. I don't know, the last time you didn't grade the quarterback either a D or an S, Scott.
Yeah, I don't remember that either, Mike. It's definitely been a while.
It has been a while, but yesterday you did hand out a positive grade for the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. You gave him an A. I don't know if that was just, hey, he won the game, he came in, but what were some of the things about Hurts that you put him in the A category? Because quite frankly, I mean, his completion percentage was pretty low. His yards per attempt only 5.6. But what did you like about what you saw from Hurts?
The biggest thing to me, Mike, was something that, you don't measure with stats. It was the composure. To me, he didn't look like a rookie. And that was at the end of the game, I found myself constantly coming back to that in my mind. Right from the beginning, he looked composed. He was cool under pressure. The touchdown throw to Jeffrey showed me more than anything else. That defender was coming, and he knew he was going to get popped, and he threw a perfect throw, left it where only Alshon could catch it, and Alshon hasn't caught much this year, so that was impressive enough. And then the other thing that he did, too, was, he never hesitated. Did he always make the right decision? I don't know, but he made a decision. Unlike Carson Wentz has done in the pocket, where he dropped back, and you could tell Carson didn't exactly trust what he was looking at, so there was this hesitation while he tried to make a decision what he was going to do with the ball, whether it was try to get away, throw it away, try to throw it to somebody, fit it in a tight spot, turn it over, whatever. It took a while to make that decision. Jalen Hurts made a decision, and he went with it. Whether it was the right decision or not, he went with a decision, and he never got sacked. So the offense didn't move backwards near frequently as it has under Carson, and that was part of the reason it was able to move down the field. So, why did Jalen get an A? Yeah, maybe I graded a little bit on a curve with the fact that he was a rookie making his first start, but overall, I thought his composure was cool. He looked like a leader. He seemed to make everybody around him better. And to me, those are the kind of things you need to have at the quarterback spot. And look, 106 rushing yards against a team that hadn't given up a 100-yard rusher. 167 pass yards. I mean, it wasn't the sexiest stat line ever, but it was enough to beat the top-ranked defense in the league, and to me, all of that equaled an A in my mind.
You gave Doug Pederson a B. There has been so much discussion. Was it Wentz? Was it Pederson in the play calling? You thought that Pederson elevated from, which has been typically a D or an F, all the way up to a B?
Well, because for a change, there was actually a little bit of what I could see was maybe a game plan on offense, and a little bit of a finesse to some of the play calling, and a little bit of a rhythm that the offense was able to get into. Was it Wentz? Was it Hurts that helped that happen? Was it Doug calling a better game? I felt like Doug, it's funny. I don't know what kind of relationship is there behind the scenes with Wentz, but it seems like whenever you get a Nick Foles or now a Jalen Hurts in there, Pederson commits to a certain game plan, and he sticks to those play calls. And that, with under Wentz, I don't know if Wentz is changing the play a lot more at the line. I mean, I feel like I hear that kill a whole lot more with Wentz at the line than I did yesterday with Jalen. Heard it a little bit, but I don't know if that's, happening more under Wentz. It's getting away from what Doug is trying to run, and Hurts just happened to stick with the game plan a little bit more frequently. I still want to see Miles Sanders get more touches. For the love of God, I don't understand why he is not touching the ball 15 to 20 times a game at least. And what's with committing to the 3 running back rotation? I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but Corey Clement came in to carry the ball at the goal line when the Eagles had committed a penalty that pushed them back right when they were at the 1 or 2 yard line. He hadn't touched the ball all day. Why are you giving a guy his first carry of the day when you know he's going to get popped trying to go across the goal line? That, to me, doesn't seem like the smartest thing. And you have a guy, a number one back, let the number one back do his thing, because the more times you give Sanders the ball, the more opportunities he has to break one like he's done multiple times this season. That 82-yard run was huge at the end of the first half last night. But with Doug Pederson, Mike, I'll leave you with this, because I was curious, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this too. Doug Pederson, after the game last night, almost sounded like a guy who had lost, particularly in a way he was unable to give Jalen Hurts much credit. Now, today, you hear Doug talk at that news conference a couple hours ago. Boy, he sounded upbeat to me. He sounded like a guy who may have just been given the assurance that he wasn't going to be fired this year, was kind of what I took away from it. But that's just trying to read between the lines. And I saw a completely and heard a completely different Doug Pederson at the podium today than I did last night, and I just wonder what changed.
I do feel that he was less combative, less short, less testy during his presser. Now, they won as opposed to lost, and I think he entered the presser last night with a little bit of indecision. I don't think he wanted to, Keyshawn was talking about this today during KJZ. Like, he doesn't want to kick sand over top of Wentz's grave here. He didn't want to prop up the new guy when he knows the old guy was there. He probably didn't have a chance to talk to them yet to say, hey, we're going to stick with Jalen. So I don't think he wanted to make that announcement. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot, but I do think that he was different, but how much of a product of is the fact that they won the game?
Yeah, I hear you. I just thought that I expected to hear a little bit more of enthusiasm overall with everything he talked about last night. I expected to hear the Doug I saw today last night, and I didn't hear that. And so that's what just had me kind of curious to see if there was any other people who thought something might be more to that, to some conversations had at the NovaCare. But look, I mean, I know he was non-committal last night. It's obvious that Jalen Hurts was going to start this next game. Even Carson Wentz had to know that after what he saw last night. And it's definitely the right decision, but now there's a little film on him, and Arizona Cardinals are not just going to lay over and let Jalen Hurts move the ball down the field, too. So it's going to be another tough task for him with film on him.
Yeah, the way I saw it was maybe he had to talk to Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Like, does he have power? That's something we've been asking for weeks now. I wonder if he didn't have an answer because, well, he wasn't the one making the decision, and then he had to go back and talk to the team, and the team being Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, of course. But looking at your grades, I thought, and I don't want to take anything away from Jalen Hurts because clearly that's the big storyline, but I thought the defense was such a big difference maker, especially early on. And you gave Hargrave and Josh Sweat both A's.
Yeah, I mean, look, I kept saying to myself, it feels like Brandon Graham's about to get back there. And it wasn't. It wasn't Brandon Graham. It was Javon Hargrave, or it was Josh Sweat. And Josh Sweat seems to me the kind of guy who you don't hear from until somebody has an injury on the defensive line, and then all of a sudden he comes in and he makes plays. And to me, the guy has earned the right to have more snaps. I see a motor on him that has developed. He chased Taysom Hill down from behind. And you heard Sweat say after the game that he, didn't think he was going to get him, but he was able to catch him and get him down. I credit the defense well with the simple fact that I thought they disguised things. I saw Taysom Hill look like Carson Wentz yesterday in the sense that he did not look like he had any confidence in what he was looking at down the field most of the time. And so I credit Jim Schwartz's defense with giving that disguised look. They had him confused, and that allowed them to get the pressure. 5 sacks on him for a guy who can run and get out of the pocket. The Eagles shut that down pretty quickly, so Hill wasn't quick to tuck it and run very much because he wasn't having success. They had Alvin Kamara handcuffed there for the first half. That first half was masterful, there's no doubt. This team obviously, and every team for the most part, plays a lot better with the lead. But those two guys that you mentioned, I thought did a really good job of getting back there to Hill and getting to him. And even when they didn't get sacks, they were forcing him to have to get rid of the ball or throw it away. I thought overall a good job by the defense. The thing that most frustrated me on the defensive side of the ball, and this is why I'll kind of jump the gun here with you guys a little bit, why I gave Jim Schwartz a C. You had a 17-0 lead. At times, I felt like the Saints were scoring a little bit too easily, and I understand Jalen Hurts should have never fumbled that ball when he's trying to run out the clock, and you can't put that on the defense. However, you can't give up those touchdowns. I mean, you have to make them work for that yardage to get down to the end zone, and they didn't do that. And it's just a bump in the road on what was otherwise a very solid performance by the defense. You're right. Everybody's talking about Jalen Hurts today, but you can't ignore what that defense did last night. That was an impressive performance for sure.
I agree. I wrote an article about that at 973ESPN.com. And the guys that you mentioned, Josh Sweat, I mean, he came up with 2 sacks, the strip sack. I think he needs a little help on the misdirection and against the run, but he's obviously become a force in rushing the passer. I want to ask you about the offensive line. You gave them an A. My question, a lot of people said, well, look, the line blocked a lot better, and I thought they did block a lot better. They looked a lot more competent than they have in other games. But how much of that is a product of Hurts making the line look better?
I think that's a large part of it. When I was talking about Hurts, I talked about the decision-making. He didn't hesitate. Those guys only had to block for a couple of, maybe 2 seconds before Hurts was either throwing the ball or starting to evacuate the pocket to extend the play. It's so much easier to block when the defensive line can't just sit and go after and push you back into a quarterback who's a statue. And I think that, yes, Hurts made the offensive line look good, but the offensive line also deserves some credit for blocking in the run game. I thought that they were able to, create some opening and some holes. Even if it wasn't a designed run play, they gave Hurts a way out. And that, to me, was just as important as, keeping him off the ground from getting sacked. Sure, did the offensive line keep him from getting sacked, or did Hurts help the offensive line keep him from getting sacked? I think it's a little of both. I think the Hurts definitely made that line look better, but the line at the same token, I think, knew that they didn't have to hold their blocks as long, and it has to be easier. I'm not an offensive lineman, never was. If you saw me, you'd know that too. To me, it has to be easier when you know that quarterback has the ability to get out of a bad spot if you only have to try to get your guy blocked for maybe 2 seconds. So, yeah, I think Hurts definitely made them look better.
All this positivity doesn't feel natural, so let's flip it to the F part of the report card. Jake Elliott, what's going on here? He misses a 22-yarder, and keep in mind, he had that contract extension. So just more conversation to the mix when it comes to cap problems.
Yeah, look, Jake Elliott, you can't forget the 61-yarder that he kicked to beat the Giants to really start propelling that team in the Super Bowl year. That was an amazing kick. But he frustrates you because he misses the absolutely chip shot field goals. He will miss an extra point occasionally. It's just in his DNA. And I guess if you're the Eagles, you've decided to accept that. A 22-yarder. I mean, I could go out there and probably make 9 out of 10 from that distance, and I'm not a pro getting paid what he's getting paid. A 22-yarder, there is no way you should miss that unless it's a bad snap, and there's no way you can get the kickoff. I mean, to me, that was just unbelievable. Everybody, I think, was already starting to go to the refrigerator for halftime saying, yes, we're up 20-0. And you could hear it because there's no crowd, that clang off the upright. And it's just, it's maddening. It is maddening. And and if you're Doug Pederson, I mean, you probably like having him because you can easily justify to Howie and Jeffrey Lurie going for 2 or going for it on 4th down because you say, well, I'm not really sure he's going to make it. And that's just, it's a tough spot to be in. And I mean, missing a 22-yarder in a game like that where 3 points late in the game, the way that game unfolded would have been huge. It makes me wonder if Elliott's going to be able to be here next year. But
$8 million cap hit. Guess what? $8 million cap hit. Guess who's kicking for them next year and the year after, by the way?
You're absolutely right.
Jake Elliott.
But how much, you talk about these cap hits. Carson Wentz. You talk about Jake Elliott. You talk about some other players.
By the way, Rodney McLeod, who's now out. Rodney McLeod, who's now out for the year this year with that ACL tear, he's done. He's got a cap hit next year that, I mean, now you're going to be able to get a little relief, I guess, if he's on the injured. But I don't know because it's a weird spot. He might be able to come and play the second half of next year, but he's another big cap hit.
And who do we blame for that? Who signed them to these bad contracts? Again, I go back to pointing the finger to Howie Roseman.
Well, it should be an interesting Houdini act. It'll be an interesting Houdini act to see how he gets out of this thing, Scott.
Absolutely. And what's going to be interesting to see to me on these last few games? Who were the guys who made plays yesterday? The younger, almost like future of this team.
Yeah, Alshon. Yeah, Alshon make a nice play.
1 catch. His first touchdown in over a year. Other than that, I mean, Jalen Reagor, get that guy the ball more. He averaged over 20 yards per touch. You look at Jalen Hurts. You look at Josh Sweat, still a younger guy. You look at, some more of these younger players who made plays yesterday. Duke Riley, Alex Singleton has been making plays. I think we're going to see a lot more Kayvon Wallace. I'm okay with Devontae Maddox not playing if he doesn't play again. You're going to see some of these young guys, and if the Eagles have success in these last few weeks, it's because these young guys kind of step up. And then you look back again at these older players with these contracts that you're talking about, and it's like, man, they're really getting in the way of what this team could potentially do with this younger talent.
He's Scott Grayson. The full list of grades are posted at 973ESPN.com, and he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Scott, take care, pal.
All right, you guys too.
Check out all the grades at 973ESPN.com. They're brought to you by Cross County Connection. Go to driveless.com. They are the region's transportation management association dedicated to improving the quality of life in South Jersey through transportation solutions.